Welcome to the Seller Roundtable e-commerce coaching and business strategies with Andy Arnott and Amy Wees.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Seller Roundtable number 35. We are super excited to have Pauline Masson, hopefully I pronounced that right, from Shopkeeper with us today. And we're going to be talking all about Amazon. We're going to do our standard kind of get to know her questions, and then we're going to dive into some questions about Pauline is kind of the master of pricing on Amazon, how that affects affects your business strategies, all that kind of fun stuff. So welcome, Paulina. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me here. Happy to be here.
All right. So what we always do is we start out, kind of get some background from you. If you do not want to answer anything, you can opt out. But we're interested in maybe give us some background on like where you're born, where you live now, things you did in the past, college, school, family, kind of anything you want to share about who you are up to this point.
All right. So what's the most interesting part about me? I guess the most interesting part is that I am a software developer, being a girl. So there was two of us in the 500 people class. So there was 498 men in the software development class that I was in, and there were two women. And
so
I was
easy to get a date is what you're saying.
Yeah, and software developers are not the kind that you imagine.
Right, but you have 498 to
choices.
Sift through, right?
Right. I don't know why. It wasn't on my mind, I guess, at that time.
You're looking for a musician, probably, right?
If you show me a guitar, it works.
Okay, all right. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
So I'm a software developer by background. So I've been always, making little tools for myself to make my life easier. Or I would look up some existing tools and then make my own copy of that. So that's what I was doing. So jumping over to the Amazon world, when I became an Amazon seller, I basically created some tools for myself, and there was born the Shopkeeper. That's the very short story about me, but in general, there's a lot in between that I may share later.
All right. And where do you live now? Can you share that? Just curious. Time zone.
Yeah. So right now I live in Turkey, and it's 11 p.m. right here.
Oh, wow.
What time is it for you?
It's 1:06 p.m. Pacific time. We're Amazon. We're on the west coast in California, so I call it Amazon Google time. That's what time we're on, or in Facebook too. We can throw Facebook in there. We're about an hour and a half north of all those fabulous companies. So, yeah. So, Paulina, when did you first? Because I think you're similar to me, where you have a e-commerce business, but then you also have a software business. Kind of when did you first learn about Amazon? When did you kind of get into selling on Amazon?
So, when the gold rush started in 2014, that's when, if you look at Google Trends, it's exactly when eBay searches started going down and then Amazon FBA started going up. And I was one of those people who jumped on the wagon exactly in 2014. And I was just at first looking around slowly, and I started selling more seriously into end of 2015. So that's where my journey began. And did you jump on the same time like me?
No, I was one of those early people, and that's why I kicked myself because, the amazing.com guys started doing training back when I started, actually right after I started, but I didn't even know they existed. I started in 2012. I think they did their first training in like 2013 or something. But yeah, so I've been doing this for quite a few years now.
Interesting. I am interested because you stick around, entrepreneurs tend to jump from niche to niche and keep, and yours.
I've had lots of side projects. Yeah. I've had launch companies. I've had, my current software company. Before that I had an app business. I've jumped around quite a bit, but, with Seller SEO, I'm trying to stay focused. That's kind of my personal goal because I am one of those, shiny object type people.
Yeah, me too. I guess most of us and the people watching are, welcome to the circle.
Absolutely. I think entrepreneurs in general are very much looking to the future, seeing what's next, and then, how to capitalize on that. So what did you do before Amazon? Did you go directly from, sounds like you went to school for, becoming a developer, and did you jump into it right after that, or what did you do before Amazon?
It was interesting because in my class, I studied computer science at Carleton University in Canada. And in my class, there were Shopify founders. That's interesting. And then there were many other little companies that later were acquired by Shopify. So I sort of, I came as a freshman with this laptop, which was Sony Vaio, Windows machine. And then I look on the left, look on the right, everyone has a MacBook. I'm the only one with the Windows. I'm like, okay, I gotta get a MacBook. So I basically learned everything I know from those guys. They bootstrapped their businesses, and I started doing affiliate marketing online. So it's been a while before Amazon that I already had a couple businesses, and I've tried all types of digital marketing and info marketing and pop unders and all of these other digital things. And many of these things are actually transferable, from business to business. And the more years go by, the more you have a feelers, what's going to work, what's not going to work. So you get better at it. The first project that I started was an app for contests, moms who enter contests, to sort of automate it, for them. And that completely failed. I ordered from, outsourced it to India, and then they just delivered some mumble jumble code. That didn't work. So yeah, I've spent a lot of money on some random projects, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. And eventually I discovered e-commerce, and Amazon came about.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's very much along the same lines of my journey. I'm a self-taught developer, but I'm not, super high end at all. I'm, more UI, all that kind of stuff. And I can do some data. I used to do Rails a lot and things like that, but usually I'm more of the visionary, like to hire out for the development. But I've easily blown, 6 figures on bad development over the years. I'm not going to date myself, but I've been doing this for quite a long time. Until you kind of, nowadays it's, I've done it long enough now where I actually, can tell pretty quickly if I'm working with a developer that's going to produce or not. One of the easiest filters is, do you know how to manage a Git repository? If they say no, then they're instantly booted. It's kind of like basic stuff. And it's surprising how many developers don't even have some of that basic knowledge. So it's an interesting background, similar to mine once again. So once you did get started, were you all self-taught? Did you watch YouTube videos? Did you take any courses for Amazon? Kind of how did you get started? Or did you just put your feet to the fire?
So is it okay that I mention a few names? Not like I want to promote them too much.
No, that's fine. I don't care. People, I promote my, if you know me, interacted with me long enough, like people are like, oh, what software tool should I use? Should I use Seller SEO? I go, yeah, absolutely. You should try it. You should try Helium 10. You should try, any tool that's out there. To me, if you're a business owner and you're not trying every available tool, then you're doing a disservice to yourself. So to me, it's like, I tell everybody, you need to try everything. You need to read everything. You need to, if somebody's doing something better than somebody else, that's who you need to go to for the health of your business. So I have no problem with that.
Okay, great. So in those days when I was thinking about Amazon, I had a long commute to the office and back. I sort of thought that the office is going to work. Didn't in the end. So basically I would have this headset always in my ear wherever I walk, in transit, shopping, and I still to this day I do that. And basically all kinds of podcasts go in here. So whatever I am interested in, so at the time was Amazon, and that's what I listened to. So, Amazing Seller, Scott Walker. Mm-hmm. There was later, Manico started his own AM/PM podcast. So the biggest podcasts that were at the time about Amazon, that's what I was listening to. And it's interesting that the way my mind took that information, so it was so much, information together that it's really hard to quickly consume it. But so I would just keep listening. And then one important thing comes up, something that hit my mind. Oh, yeah, I should do that to this product that I'm thinking about. So I connect the two dots, and then suddenly I sort of phase out. Whatever he keeps talking, I don't hear anymore. All I'm thinking about is okay, now I'm going to connect this, what he said, and then do this. But I cannot disconnect him because it somehow takes away the flow of my, so I keep him in my ear. He keeps talking and I generate these ideas. And that's how I always kept this product line niche in mind, and I kept listening to new things, and then, dots connecting, and just added, okay, I'll do this, because I knew nothing how to promote, how to launch, how to, get reviews, all of these things. So, okay, we'll do that here. This gonna work, because when you're just starting, you have no idea what's gonna work. And there's 101 things that you can do, but if you try all of them, you will not really succeed at any, because you're going to do a little bit of everything. And then there's this other guy, Andy, is going to do just one thing 100%, 100 times. So look how far he's going to get. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of everything. So it's much better to just grab something that you think that podcaster said this works, confirmed by some other social proof from Amazon group, Amazon seller group on Facebook. And then you're doing those, so you're sort of searching for that social proof. That's exactly what I was doing, mining that information, trying to see which is the true way to success. And still my first product failed pretty much. So, I guess, that's how it goes. It was just the product that I ordered from AliExpress just to try. I didn't know at that time that there is 1688.com, which I recommend to new beginners right now, instead of going to AliExpress. Because if for those who are listening and don't know yet, well, 1688 is like the origin source almost, which is in China. And then AliExpress takes the price like 3 times the price, and then resell on Amazon 3 times the price. So basically go to the bottom source, except that you'll have to Google translate everything, what you're searching for.
Yeah, we use 1688. We use Alibaba, but we use 1688 to get the price so that we can go back to the people on Alibaba and go, oh, we know that this is how much it's selling for. Send them the 1688 link. That's a good point. But you also made some other great points where, depending on what podcast you listen to, what, YouTube person you're listening to, everybody's going to have different opinions. And, just because it worked for that person doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, vice versa. So, like you said, you need to put that data together and then pick a few things and then test it yourself. Don't just blindly believe that that's, what's going to work. Even everything we talk about on here, I've always told you guys, this is our experience. This is, what works for us, but you guys should always be turning dials. I always tell you guys turn dials. And I absolutely think that the most successful Amazon sellers, that's what they're doing every day. They're testing new stuff. They're seeing what works. And you also have to not only test stuff, but then you have to look at the data afterwards. If you just test something and then walk away from it, that's, going to do you no good. You have to actually dig into the data and see, what worked, what didn't work, and things like that. So, and I don't mind you mentioning Scott at all, because Scott, we're coming for you. We've made some great progress on this podcast in a very short time. So we're super excited about that, and there's room for everyone. I mean, like I said, you're going to learn, something from Scott. You're going to learn something from Manny. You're going to learn something from us. You guys should be, trying to get as much of that information as you can. We're of course biased. We think we give you guys the best stuff here, but we want you to test and listen to others and see if that's true or not. So, Paulina, once you got started with Amazon, what was kind of your biggest challenge? Kevin, who's in the audience right now, he's, having a horrible time with hijackers. Early on, we had kind of a similar experience where you just want to pull your hair out sometimes with Amazon. Especially sometimes dealing with seller support, you feel like you're not getting any support. You feel like you're just getting the template reply just to get rid of you. So did you have any experiences like that? What kind of, issues, problems, hurdles that you faced when you started your business?
Yeah, I had lots. So, all right, one of them, for example, so I totally mismanaged the inventory, and that ate a lot of my profit in terms of storage costs. And that's common, I guess, for new sellers, but also 2 years in the business, I was still mismanaging the inventory. So it's really hard to predict, especially that I was, so my products were in apparel and accessories type of thing. And the first product that I launched was a purse. And there's thousands, millions of purses on Amazon. And to rank for that is barely you're going to make it. And it's not going to be one of these competitive products where you get 50 sales a day, 100 a day. You basically get first you launch with 0 feedback on your seller account, and you'll get first day, no sales. Second day, no sales. Then you start searching on Facebook groups, is it okay 7 days and no sales? Is this normal? You start searching, and then, okay, 11 days and no sales, and then you start, and I sent 100 units. And then on that point, to me, it was like a lot of investment,
Right,
and,
right.
and then 17 days, no sales, what is this? And I'm gonna, and then 18th day came, there was a sale, and then 2 days later, another sale. And then it started rolling and rolling. And in Christmas, I sold 100 units a day of that item,
Yeah.
I was a purse for little girls, so Christmas actually sold a lot. And I just didn't know on that Christmas, ordered more on the other Christmas. So you go and you learn, so big mistake I made was I sent too much inventory at first. So I sent whole 100 units, and that 100 units, if you sell like 2 units a week, it takes forever to sell out, and it's really, really slow grind. So I thought, okay, so how can I grow? It's either the marketing or adding more products. Adding more products costs a lot of money. So I started adding little bit, 20 units each product. So what I did next is I took from AliExpress existing item, and I asked at that time, it wasn't a sourcing agent. Right now I work with her. She's my sourcing agent. But at that time she worked for a trading company. So I would ask that trading company to take the samples from AliExpress themselves, basically make an order of those different items and just change the material. So I can already tell you what it is, because since I'm not selling that line anymore. So it was simply different types of bags, like like boxes, like for makeup, not boxes, but how to say those
like
zip
compacts
bags.
or I know what you're saying. My wife uses
Right.
one.
Just like little
Yeah, it's
containers. And
like about that deep and about, and it's got a zip around it and you put your makeup in there.
Right. And
Yep.
there's like makeup dividers and things. So makeup organizer basically, and then, hairbrush organizer, and then all these girly things. And I sent them all these bestseller ones to them. And I told them, okay, replace the material to be clear. So change the material not to be this like that, but just PVC material. And PVC has to be thick enough, and then make all of them and just send me a sample. So it became completely different product, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was this material one, like a synthetic makeup bag. And then I made it hard cased PVC material. And then on the edges, everybody who's doing PVC clear bags, they're all doing with black edges, So instead I made it with silver edges. So basically it silver hologramic, like what girls like, not boring black, So I basically just took an existing product, completely reinvented it. It's the same thing, but nobody was doing that at all. And some material that nobody was doing for that product. And I told them, so buy 20 different ones and send me all the samples. And then I ordered 20 each. So basically 400 units came to Canada at that time to me. And I then labeled them myself and shipped to Amazon, to, to sell. And then from those 20 different things, I saw one right away. One was like 1-star product, another 1-star product. So a few of them were winners, and then just eventually I thought, that's a good tactic. I could do that and just slowly go by not attack those high competing products, but go into small things that nobody even goes to. There's millions of makeup bags, who wants to make another makeup bag, Actually, if you make like 5 sales a day, every day, and you have 20 of those going, it's pretty good business, you just have to micromanage everything. You build systems, build processes, and it's all very, very nice business. So I really liked working in the small niches, not to have to fight with anyone, have enough space to breathe, And yeah.
Well, once again, it's pretty similar story. That's kind of exactly how we did it. And we actually have a course that we've been teaching people on, like, how to test products in small quantities. If you guys, I don't know if we've ever mentioned it on the podcast, because we try to keep minimal selling on the podcast, but if you guys want to check that out, there's a short link. You can just go to tiny.cc/sourcing small, and it's a course that will show you guys kind of that same process. And that's how I started, and that's why we've been teaching it. Is, it's exactly what you said, Paulina, is going, instead of going and ordering 5,000 units of some product you found on Jungle Scout that you think is going to work and, be negative 10 grand, It's, going to AliExpress and sourcing 20 products, 10 or 20 items at a time and testing it, actually testing the market and figuring out if that's going to, those products are going to work or not. It's been a huge success for us. And like you said, we have over 800 SKUs, and that's the process that we've been doing since 2012 is, back then I was super aggressive. I was trying to onboard, a product a week. We're nowhere near that now. Like you said, we started having inventory issues because we weren't tracking the success of those products well enough. So we scaled that way back, but that way of doing things, I think, is still the absolute best way to source. You're going to get so many more wins that way than you are trying to look at Jungle Scout or any of the other tools that are going to give you the same exact data over and over again. So that's a great point, Paulina, and I definitely think that that's the way to go in my opinion. So and another great thing you mentioned, which a lot of people don't realize, is you can take an existing product, modify it even slightly, and it'll be a much better product. And especially like you said, a lot of people don't think about, if it's a woman's product, changing colors, changing textures, or even if it's for a man, maybe it's a product that is for hunters and you make it camouflaged instead of, black or whatever it is. You just do subtle things like that to improve the product, but you could, you'd be surprised how much just that slight improvement could get you sales away from, other people that are, all selling the same exact thing that looks the same and same material, same, same type of packaging, everything like that. If you differentiate just a little bit, that you could have, some great successes there. So what is your goal for Q4? Are you still selling on Amazon? And what's your goal for Q4 on Amazon? What's your goal for Shopkeeper? What's your last quarter looking like?
All right. So since I started Shopkeeper, that was 2 years ago. Basically,
you don't have to tell us your sales or anything. Just meaning what are your goals for your business?
No, it's changing. That thing, the one thing, I think there's a book like that, right? And if you focus at multiple things at the time, you kind of don't get anywhere, like I said, with those little focuses and a lot of focus. So I've been trying recently in the last year to focus all of my attention to Shopkeeper. And I left my Amazon to be managed by my VAs, which follow the processes. And to VAs, I discovered in that year that it's very hard to outsource the creativity. You can outsource the process and the systems very easily, whatever you were doing, but creative part, that actually is growing the business, is super hard to outsource unless you're paying a lot of money to some marketing manager, I don't know, with experience. So keep in mind, that eventually when you want to phase yourself out, it's pretty hard to do, because you will be able to, those manual tasks easily are outsourceable, but the creative, the growth of the business, how it's going to be grown, the strategies of it, whatever. And I've let that go a little bit because I'm focusing on Shopkeeper 100%. 99%. So it's been tough, but actually Amazon is fun because it's not going, I just let it go a year ago and it's just going like this, and now Christmas is coming, and it's going up. So it's still doing that, but there's no big growth like the previous years that I had, so you have a lot of time to build another business and everything. Once you have the engine going, it's going, and many other sellers that I talk to, they say, I spend 1-2 hours a week working on my Amazon business right now, so basically once you learn the ropes and go over the learning curve, you have a lot of nice leeway. So you're asking about Q4, and Q4 is looking good. I actually knew when to order this time. I know that I need to place an order in June because I made this calculation about delivery. And I used to have these big issues since they introduced this inventory performance index. This index is calculated every 3 months. And there is a date when they calculate it on October 1st. And on October 1st, they look at the last 3 months of your performance and judging the 2 weeks before October 1st and then 2 weeks some other middle of the period. And then they judge from those 2 weeks before October 1st, how much space you're gonna have for Q4. So basically, once I discovered that, now I know that I have to bring it after October 1st. Because what happens? If you bring your inventory for Q4 just before October 1st, then you suddenly ruin that ratio. There's this ratio that they calculate how much you have in stock and how much it's selling, and suddenly you brought 5,000 units, in stock, and it's selling not so much, and they check the last 40 days, whatever, the ratio becomes very, very low, and that means they may limit your inventory exactly from October 1st. So that's the one trick that I learned that you could keep in mind for the next year. Maybe now it's too late, that you should send all your inventory to arrive after October 1st. And in my case, it takes me June 1st to make an order, then a few months to produce, few months to on the ship, and so on. So basically it arrives after October 1st, and it's just this week is getting into, so the import unloaded from ship and just waiting for Amazon to take it in. So that's when we are gonna, so now I'm like waiting very much, because the sales are also starting to go up, and I want the stock to be in, not to run out, because if you run out a little bit, it still drops a little bit in rank. In my case, I don't know, it does come back, but it takes this little hiccup to come back. I don't like that hiccup anymore. So yeah, that when I said 1% of the thing that I'm still thinking about my Amazon things, it's things like that, little strings that I can pull to help me a little bit, to not lose what I have, the momentum over there. And all the rest of the stuff goes to shopkeeper development of the features and things like that.
That's, once again, it sounds very familiar. That's pretty much the exact same journey I took. Like I said, I was doing all kinds of things. We still have the Amazon business. Just like you, we don't dedicate a ton of time to it, but it's sort of on autopilot, in the sense that just like you, it's pretty steady. And then Q4, we get crazy. And we also have gotten really good at staging our inventory. So, we have our first batch like hit right around now, and then we stage it again. So the next batch hits in 20 or 30 days. And then, that kind of continues throughout the whole season. So that lets us avoid the storage fees. Luckily, I don't know if it's because we started, so early, or because of the volume of sales that we have, but we have unlimited storage, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. We have unlimited storage for a while now, actually. So I guess we're lucky. I didn't realize that they were still doing limits on storage.
They do if you drop below 350, I think, performance index. So if you've been doing bad and you're trying to recover.
Yeah, so we're always like over 700. We've gotten, it's just, once again, I think it's because we've been doing this for so long. And our other trick is that we have our own warehouse, so we might order, say, for example, like one of our products, our big Christmas products, we should order 20,000 units. So, out of that, we maybe send like 8 or 10 to Amazon, and then we keep the rest in our warehouse, and then we watch stock. And then as it, moves, we can tell pretty quickly how it's going to work. And then we can send more from our warehouse. So that makes it really, work out really well. Not only that, but then we back it with seller fulfilled Prime. So if it ever does run out of stock there, we can still, ship on our own. But getting Q4 down, like inventory wise, is super, super important. And the longer you're doing it, the better, tricks that you're going to have for it. Paulina, you must absolutely, if you've not listened to the book yet, because it's been a game changer for Amy and I, is Clockwork. It's Mike Michalowicz.
I'll write that down.
It's one of the best books I've read, and I've read a lot of books over the last few years, in self-improvement and things like that. But they talk about in that book, the queen bee role, which, like you said, it's kind of the one thing, like, you always have all these different functions in your business, but you identify what in your business is like the main function, like the main thing that you need to do to be successful. And then everything else kind of falls to the wayside. I mean, you still do it, but it doesn't get all the energy. You either outsource it or pare it down or whatever. Anyway, just if you get a chance, definitely listen to that book. Mike's going to have to write me a check because I mentioned his book so much. He's going to be on, I think, in February of next year. That's how far it is to book him. But check that out, Paulina, and let me know how that works for you.
Okay.
It was a game changer for us.
Thanks for recommendation.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for tuning in to part 1 of this episode. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for live Q&A and bonus content after the recording at sellerroundtable.com. Sponsored by the ultimate software tool for Amazon sales and growth, sellerseo.com and amazingathome.com.